So welcome student. Today we are dealing with diabetes mellitus and its treatment. So first we will see insulin. It is a metabolic hormone which is secreted by the beta cells of islets of Langerhans, which is present in the pancreas. Okay, this pancreas, this is the one of the major gland present in our body, which contain which is the only gland which is exocrine as well as endocrine in nature. The endocrine part of this pancreas contain alpha cells and beta cells. So they are present in the form of islets. So that's why, and that is discovered by a scientist, Langerhans. So that's why the name is given is islets of Langerhans. So especially the beta cell, which stores the insulin, and as and when required it is released by the beta cells of islets of Langerhans, and the alpha cell which produces glucagon. So here we are restricted to insulin only. Now the function of insulin is to allow other cells to transform the glucose into energy throughout the body. So the major role, as you can see here, that this insulin is responsible for the transformation of glucose into energy. This is important function of insulin. Without insulin, the cells will get starved for energy and must seek an alternate source for the energy. Insulin also stimulates the lipogenesis, diminishes the lipolysis, and increases the amino acid transport into the cell. So not only the transformation of glucose into energy, it also stimulates the lipogenesis, diminishes the lipolysis, and increases the amino acid transport from the blood into the cells. Now the lack of effective insulin that will play a key role in the development of diabetes. Now we will see how the role of insulin in glucose utilization. What will happen? Now you can say this is a cell, and here these are the insulin receptor. You can see these are the insulin receptor, and this one is the insulin. So we will see how the insulin will be helpful in glucose utilization. See, first step, this insulin will bind to the, when there is a presence of glucose in blood, insulin will be released and that will bind to the insulin receptor. Next step, because of this binding, this channel, through this channel, this glucose will become inside the cell. Okay, if this binding is not there, this glucose will not come inside the cell. Okay, after coming this glucose into the cell, it will get converted into pyruvate. You know this mechanism. Okay, and this pyruvate may leads to the formation of energy. You can see here formation of ATPs. Okay, so this that's how the glucose is utilized as a energy. Again, the some part of this pyruvate that will get converted into the fatty acids, and that will be deposited on the adipose tissue. Again, some part of glucose that will get converted into the glucagon. You can just see that that is converted into the glucagon, and that is stored in the liver as well as muscle. And as and when required, this glucagon is again, it will be converted into glucose, and that will be utilized as a energy. So whatever the glucose which will come inside the cell, what will happen to that glucose? That it will first get converted into pyruvate, and that pyruvate may leads to energy formation, that is formation of ATPs. Again, that pyruvate also leads to formation of fatty acid, and that will be deposited in the adipose tissue. And some part of glucose in the mostly in the liver and in the muscle, that glucose is get converted into glycogen, and that glycogen is stored in the liver and muscle. And as and when your body require glucose, this glycogen will be converted into glucose, and that will be again utilized as a energy. So you can see here, without binding of these all thing will not be happen. Okay, so that's why this insulin is important. Okay, next. Now we will see what do you mean by diabetes. Diabetes is a chronic disease that occurs either when the pancreas does not produce enough insulin, or when the body cannot effectively use the insulin it produces. See, there are two possibilities. There are two possibilities that the pancreas that will not produce the enough insulin. Okay, or when the body cannot effectively use the insulin it produces. So what do you mean by this? We will see. The insulin is a hormone that regulates the blood sugar. It is the condition in which our body cell fails to utilize the sugar from the circulating blood, and thus it is not available for use by the cell, and hence the level of sugar increases in blood. Okay, so that when there is a high level of sugar in the blood, so this insulin is normally released by the pancreas, and that insulin will help the utilization of that glucose, that will facilitate the transfer of glucose from the blood to the cell. So this facilitation is blocked, or the pancreas is not producing the enough insulin. So that's why there is a deficiency of insulin, or there is a presence of insulin, but still the transfer of glucose from the blood to cell is inhibited. Now there are many reasons for that. We will see in the later part of this chapter. Okay, and this you have to keep in mind that this diabetes, it is a metabolic disorder. Now types of diabetes. Now there are two types of diabetes. First one is the type 1 diabetes, that is also called as insulin dependent or juvenile onset type. Okay, this is a type 1 diabetes. Second one is the type 2 diabetes, insulin independent diabetes, or this is also called as maturity onset type. Okay, so these are the two major types of diabetes. We will see the difference between that. Now in case of type 1, there is a destruction of beta cells of pancreas. Okay, so there is no availability of insulin. There is no availability of insulin. Now here there is no loss or destruction of beta cells. Okay, so here there is a presence of insulin, still there is a diabetes. Okay, next, here you can see that here there is a deficiency of insulin. Here the sufficient insulin is there, but still the blood sugar level is increasing. Okay, next. Now, this type 1 diabetes, the major reason is the autoimmune disorder. It is a autoimmune disorder. And in case of type 2 diabetes, it is there is type 2 diabetes or insulin independent diabetes. That is because of the abnormality of glucose receptor, abnormalities of glucose receptor, reduced sensitivity of tissue for insulin. Okay, so reduced sensitivity of tissue for insulin. And the third reason is the excess of hyperglycemic hormone, the excess of hyperglycemic so these are the three reasons. Because of these three reasons, there is a development of type 2 diabetes because of the abnormalities in the glucose receptor, reduced sensitivity of tissue for insulin, and excessive hyperglycemic hormone. So this is about the type 2 diabetes. Now here, for the treatment of this type 1 diabetes, you have to give the insulin from external source because there is no presence of residual insulin in the body. Your pancreas is not forming any insulin in your body, so you have to give the insulin from external source. Okay, so for the treatment of type 1 diabetes, the only drug which can be used for the treatment is the insulin. Now, in case of type 2 diabetes, you can go for oral hypoglycemic agent. Oral hypoglycemic agent. Now, other than this, there is one more. Now, here you can see that this type 1 diabetes, it is present only in 10% of people, and 90% of diabetic peoples are having type 2 diabetes. 90% of people is having type 2 diabetes. Other than this, there is one more uh, type of diabetes that is called as gestational diabetes, and this is because there is a high blood sugar during pregnancy. During pregnancy, why it is so? Because the insulin blocking hormone, which is produced by the placenta, which is produced by the placenta, and that causes this type of diabetes. And after there is a delivery, this gestational diabetes will be gone. Okay, so that will happen with some female, that the insulin blocking hormone that will be prepared by the placenta, and that may leads to gestational diabetes. Okay, and this happens with the pregnant woman only. Okay, so this is about the different types of diabetes. Next, now you can see the pathophysiology of type 1 diabetes. Now what happens exactly in the type 1 diabetes? You just see here the pancreatic beta cells. Normally what happens? These pancreatic beta cells, that will produce the insulin, and this insulin, and that can be act on this insulin receptor. Okay, so this will happen normally. Okay, but now in case of type 1 diabetes, what happened? That the pancreatic beta cells are destructed, so there is no availability of insulin. So there is no availability of insulin, so that will not act on this insulin receptor, and therefore the glucose utilization is not there. Glucose the glucose utilization is not Glucose is not utilized because it will not go inside the cell. In blood, glucose is not utilized. This glucose is supposed to become inside the cell. Glucose is supposed to become inside the cell for the utilization purpose, but because of this insufficiency, or there is no availability of insulin, this insulin receptor will not get activated, so that there is no inward movement of this glucose will not be taken up by the cells. Okay, so this glucose is not utilized, and here the treatment for such kind of disease, or such kind of type 1 diabetes, insulin is required for the treatment. You have to go for this insulin. Okay, so this is the pathophysiology of type 1 diabetes. Now we will see the pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes. Now what happens in type 2 diabetes? You can see here. Same with the pancreatic beta cell, they are producing the insulin. You can see the insulin is produced, but it is in little low release of the insulin is there. Okay, so what will happen? See there. So there are these are the occupied receptors of insulin. Okay, and you can see these are the unoccupied receptors of insulin. So what will happen? You can just see here. So this is the first reason. Because of low release of insulin, many receptors are not occupied. Again, there is some you can see the difference between these receptors. Non-responsive insulin receptors are there. Okay, non-responsive insulin receptors are there. So these receptor will not, or they cannot bind the insulin. You can just see they cannot, they are unable to bind this insulin. Okay, so these are the non responsive insulin receptor. Okay, so see, there are two possibilities. There is a low release of insulin, okay, so that the many receptors are not occupied. This is the first case. Second case is what? That there are non-responsive insulin receptor. So they will unable to bind the insulin. So what will happen because of these two? You can see. So only some of the glucose will be utilized. You can see here only the some of the glucose will be utilized. That can be utilized as a energy. Okay, and the remaining glucose is not utilized. Yeah, the glucose is not utilized completely. Okay, so this is about the uh, pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes. Okay, so for this you can go for the oral hypoglycemic drug that can be used for the treatment of type 2 diabetes. Do you get this? The pathophysiology of type 2 diabetes, what happened here? There is first reason, there is low release of insulin, so that all the receptors are not occupied by the insulin. Okay, okay, all the receptors, these are occupied but these are not occupied. This is one reason. Or the another reason is what? That there is a non-responsive insulin receptors will be there, and this non-responsive insulin receptor, when the insulin come, it will not bind to that receptor. So because of these two reason, you can see here, this is first reason and this is second reason. Because of these two reason, complete utilization of glucose is not possible. Okay, okay, complete utilization of glucose is not possible, and that may leads to development of type 2 diabetes. And for that you can go for oral hypoglycemic agent for the treatment. Okay, so I hope you understand this phenomena. Okay, you understand this pathophysiology. We will proceed further with the causes of type 1 diabetes. Now the type 1 diabetes is caused by the immune system that is destroying the cells in the pancreas that makes insulin. This is called as autoimmune reaction because the body is attacking itself. There is no specific diabetes causes, but the following triggers may be involved because of some viral or bacterial infection, because of some chemical toxin within the food, some of the unidentified components that causing the autoimmune reaction. Okay, so the major cause is because of the autoimmune reaction, and there are some triggering factors like viral or bacterial infection or chemical toxins or some unidentified component that may cause the autoimmune reaction. So these are the causes of diabetes, type 1 diabetes. Now, causes of type 2 diabetes. Causes of type 2 diabetes is, now here in case of type 2 diabetes, the stems from a combination of genetics and lifestyle factors. There are a variety of risk factor for type 2 diabetes. These are because of the family history. This is the major one. The hereditary, this type 2 diabetes is hereditary in nature. Family history of diabetes, this is the major reason. Again, obesity, your lifestyle, that is one of the major reason for development of diabetes. Your lifestyle, that living a sedentary lifestyle, that may also trigger diabetes. increasing the age. The as old age people, they are more prone to diabetic because of a bad diet, because of the bad diet. Then also this diabetes happens when one or more of the following occurs. What are the your pancreas makes very little insulin, and our body doesn't respond like it should to the insulin. So these are the two main reasons, as we discussed earlier also. This is the major pathological role or major reasons for the development of diabetes, that your pancreas is making very little amount of insulin. This is one reason. And another reason is because our body doesn't respond like it should be to the insulin. So these are the different causes. And you have to keep in mind this family history of diabetes. Hereditary, it is hereditary in nature. If your parent, like both parents are having the diabetic, then definitely 100% you will be diabetic in your future life. Uh, if any one of your parent is diabetic, you have almost 50% of chance of being diabetic in your lifetime. Okay. The second is cause is obesity, your lifestyle, your diet. So if you see here, if we see the causes, we ourselves are responsible for the development of diabetes, right? Because of your lifestyle, because of your diet habit. uh, these are the most triggering factors for the development of diabetes. Next, symptoms. You can see the diabetic symptoms are, the first one is polyphagia, that is feeling of excessive hunger, भूख जास्त लागणे, feeling of excessive hunger. Polydipsia, excessive thirst, excessive thirst. Then polyuria, excessive urine excretion, high urine output. Blurring of vision, accumulation of glucose particles in the eyesight. So that may lead to blurring of vision. And there is a possibility of development of glaucoma. Next is fatigue, increase the time for wound healing. Okay, the diabetic patient, they are if they are having some wound, they the it require more time to heal that wound. So increase time for wound healing. Lack of interest in physical activity, and unusual weight loss. Now you have to, this is one of the most important symptom you have to keep in mind. Lack of interest in physical activity, and the unusual weight loss. Okay, you are not doing any exercise and all, still you are reducing your weight, then this is the danger thing for you. You have to go and check your blood sugar level. Okay. So these are the symptoms. Frequent infection, such as gum and skin infection. So these are the some important symptoms of diabetes. Polyphagia, excessive hunger. Polydipsia, excessive thirst. Polyuria, excessive urine excretion. Blurring of vision, fatigueness, increased time for wound healing, lack of interest in physical activity, and unusual weight loss, and frequent infections. So these are the important symptoms of diabetes. Now the diagnosis of diabetes that can be done by, there are different tests. So first one is glycated hemoglobin, mm, A1C test. It is also called as HbA1c test. This blood test indicates your average blood sugar level for the past 3 months. Okay, so this is the accurate one. Okay, HbA1c HbA1c test, it is called as. So here it will show your blood sugar level for past 3 months. It measures the percentage of blood sugar attached to the hemoglobin. Normally, this HbA1c level, which is 6.5% or higher on two separate tests, indicate that you are having diabetes. Okay, if this level is more than 6.5%, then you can say that you are diabetic. If it is between the 5.7 to 6.4, then you can be considered as a pre-diabetic. So these are the levels, these are the HbA1c levels. Okay, and below 5.7 is considered as a normal. So this is one test. Okay, so this test you can do anytime. Okay, you have to give your blood, and that is checked for the glycosylated hemoglobin, and here the sugar which is attached to your hemoglobin, that will be checked in this test, and you can just have this. And this is the one of the most important tests for the diagnosis of diabetes, and this will inform you about your blood sugar level for past 3 months. So this is important. Okay, then next test, you know, that fasting blood sugar test. Here the blood sample will be taken after an overnight fast. A fasting blood sugar level that will be less than 100 milligram per deciliter, or it is 5.6 millimole per liter, is considered as a normal. It is less than 100 milligram per deciliter. A fasting blood sugar level which is in between 100 to 125 milligram per deciliter, that will be considered as pre-diabetic. And more than 125, that is it's more than 126 milligram per deciliter, or it is more than 7 millimole per liter or higher on two separate tests, you confirm your diabetic, you are diabetic. So this is the fasting blood sugar test. Next one is oral glucose tolerance test. Now this test, you are for this test you have to fast overnight, and the fasting blood sugar level is measured. After that, then you drink a sugary liquid, and blood sugar level are tested periodically for next 2 hours. Okay, so what you have to do, you have to fast overnight, and then you have to draw your blood, and after that you have to drink water, sugary liquid, and after that you have to take the different sample up to 2 hours, and you have to check your blood sugar level. Now the blood sugar level which is less than 140 milligram per deciliter is considered as normal, and the reading of more than 200 milligram per deciliter after 2 hours indicates you are diabetic. So you can say postprandial test, that is after your lunch, after your food, you have to give your blood at after 2 hours, and if your reading is more than 200 per 200 mg per deciliter, then you are diabetic. Okay, and if your reading is in between 140 to 199 milligram per deciliter, it indicate that you are pre-diabetic. So this is about the uh, oral glucose tolerance test. Next test is the random blood sugar test. Random blood sugar test. A blood sample will be taken at a random time. So regardless of when you last eat, or random blood sugar level of 200 milligram per deciliter, that is around 11.1 millimole per liter or higher, that will be suggest as a diabetic one. Okay, so this is a random blood test, blood sugar test is there. Okay, so these are the different diagnosis tests that can be used for the diagnosis of diabetes. Okay, Now the treatment of type 1 diabetes. The lack of insulin production by the pancreas make the type 1 diabetes is particularly difficult to control. So here the treatment that the first you have to go for a healthy and controlled diet. Okay, so this is important as far as your diabetic management is concerned. You have to go for a healthy and controlled diet. Also you have to do some lifestyle changes. You have to do some lifestyle changes and exercise. Okay, so that will be suggested by your physician. And the third one is with the medication. Now especially in case of type 1 diabetics, you have to go for insulin. And this insulin that cannot be taken by oral route because it is get distracted in your stomach only. So there is only possibility of this drug is given by parental route. And mostly insulin is given by subcutaneous route of administration. Nowadays newer techniques are developed, like insulin pens are available. Again some now mm, insulin pumps are now available in the market, so that will reduce the frequency of doses. Okay, so these are the treatment medications for type 1 diabetes. Now the treatment of type 2 diabetes that can be done by, again here also you have to go for healthy and controlled diet, lifestyle changes and exercise that will be suggested by your physician. And you have to go for the medications like oral hypoglycemic agent, oral hypoglycemic agent. Okay, so this is about the treatment of type 2 diabetes. And the approximately the 40% of people with a type 2 diabetes require insulin injection. Okay, so mostly this type 2 diabetes that can be managed by oral hypoglycemic agent. But some of the people, they can go for, or they are required the insulin injection also along with the oral hypoglycemic agent. Okay, so this is about the introductory part of diabetes. Now the different drugs, aim of treatment of diabetes, here you just see to control the symptoms with diet, exercise, and drugs. To maintain optimum body weight, you have to maintain your body weight. To correct the metabolic disturbance, to prevent or delay the degenerative vascular complication. So the aim of treatment of diabetes, you have to control the symptoms with a diet, exercise, and with drug. Maintain optimum body weight, correct the metabolic disturbance, to prevent or delay the degenerative vascular complications. So this is about the aim of treatment. The next part of this chapter that we will see in the next class. I hope that you must be understand up till now. And if you have any problem, you can ask me. Or today we will stop here, and you can ask me by using my WhatsApp number, or you just give me your feedback. Okay,